It's recording now.
Awesome.
Good. Thanks, Joseph. Happy
All right.
Thanksgiving. It's
Happy
coming up.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, we are just packing for tomorrow. We're doing a ski trip to
They're doing
Denver.
the road trip tomorrow. Oh, good. Good, good, good. Yeah, well, this is so we were chatting in Sofia during Connect Days. And
Um,
I think before that, I first met you at a SketchUp base camp a long time ago.
oh, I mean, we
You were
met
doing
each
witchcraft and
other.
wizardry in SketchUp and Enscape
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
a
Yep.
long time. And I think
Yeah,
that's
that
when you were doing the escape game environments,
yes,
which
that's
was an
correct.
attention to detail that is not common. So I have a deep respect for what you've done for a long time. But yeah, introduce yourself. How did you get here?
I function as an architect, which is a code word for not being licensed just yet. But I do everything that architect does except the stamping part. And I am in sort of a retail environment where we do everything from site visits, survey, feasibility
Yeah.
studies, and I do quite a bit on the side as well on nights and weekends as YouTuber and do anything that has to do with my interest, I suppose. And
You stay curious. I love it.
I
Yeah.
yeah, I stay curious. That's a good way to put it. One of the Christmas break that I came back from, and then I heard from this coworker. She was like, "Have you heard of Enscape?" And at the time, I was testing out a whole bunch of different VR workflows, and I was
Right. Right.
trying to look for a software that would work for our office VR because we just got this HTC Vive, which was, cutting edge VR thing. But we just hadn't picked the right software just yet. There were a number of offering on the table, Revit Live for some time, and then there was Prospect from Iris VR.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had checked a bunch of different things out, both the full headset environment and also Google Cardboard experience,
Right.
Samsung,
Right.
Oculus kind of thing. I gave it a try, and then I realized this is more than just VR. It does renderings. Things were a lot quicker, simpler,
Oh
and
yeah.
easier. And because I'm in a design environment, I just needed something that just gets the job done. Basically, see it on a model and then see the
Right.
rendered version on the side as I go. And it was robust and it just worked.
But it led you to a sticky problem with how to leverage SketchUp in Revit in a way that satisfies a number of challenges from like visualization, but also documentation, but also scheduling. So why did you do this?
I mean, hopefully I can maintain friends, even though I
And
expose
dignity,
my other
maintain your
side.
dignity. Yes,
Right,
that's
right.
right.
My dark side. But that's the thing. Like I have been this, I don't know, unicorn perhaps. Somebody who
Hmm,
understands both SketchUp and Revit side
yeah.
to understand and perform all the drawings and modeling tasks there.
Why do people that use SketchUp tend to grab, or actually for the escape room types of designs, why is that tool so flexible? Why is SketchUp being used by the design teams?
First of all, when you're doing construction documents and such, you still gotta represent FF&E plan or your general floor plan that has some furnitures and assets in there just enough so that you can have a base representation of what is going on, even when you're trying to configure programming within your model. If it's a box, yes, I can call it the living room, I can call it the
Right.
kitchen, I can call it the reception, I can call it the restroom or whatever. But unless I have the toilet in the restroom or a kitchen table, or a desk and a chair in the office, it's kind of hard to represent those type of spaces other than just labeling, and it doesn't
Right.
necessarily
Right.
visualize or give an idea to your client easily. So you want to dress up your plans.
So
Mhm.
you're trying to visualize, and maybe that stuff doesn't need to live in Revit. Maybe you're creating entourage and that experience.
On the Revit side, I do a lot of construction drawings and the drawing focus aspects. Whereas on SketchUp side, I tend to do a lot of visualization, and
Mhm.
just because you're more visual focused on SketchUp side, so the rendering and visualization becomes a lot easier on the SketchUp
Right.
side. Whereas the Revit is more drawing and information base, therefore it is a lot easier to do things on that side. So when it comes to, say, I'm trying to do like a mock-up rendering, or just trying to sell the emotions of this space, the
Right.
scenic design as you speak, then I need an asset, or I need something to fill up. I can't just show a simple box and say, hey, this is going to be your great office space where you can enjoy your privacy and have a call with your client and have a chat like this. It's hard to visualize that unless you see all the junks in the background or some furniture
It
on
completes
it to
it.
set up the
It makes it
set.
look not. It makes it look lived in. Like there's a time component. I got these plants going on in the background. You've probably got your
Hmm.
Star Wars kits, your Lego kits are in the background. So why can't I just use a regular SketchUp family in my Revit project? What's wrong with that?
You can, and that has been sort of my way of doing it. It's just that, um, throughout the process of what I'm about to show you, it just cuts down the time and all the efforts to put something in from SketchUp side to Revit.
So some of the things we were talking about, like if you download a SketchUp asset and you put it in your Revit project, it's not necessarily going to schedule correctly. It's not necessarily going to look good in plan sections and elevations. Um, what else are we automating? What else is your plugin automating?
Well, at a basic level, it's automating only the download and import part. So the method one is basically bringing things into a project level. And we have created this app or add-in on the
Okay.
Revit side
What's it called?
called well, I guess 3D Warehouse Importer. So
There you go.
3D Warehouse Importer, it will come in as a ribbon, or sorry, icon inside of the add-in ribbon on the Revit side, and it gives you a single button. It just opens up a dialog. Let me make this a little bit smaller so you can see.
So it's just opening in context. So instead
Yes.
of going here and going there,
Yeah,
you're opening in
so
context.
normally
Good, 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 good.
you could obviously go onto your browser and log into the 3D warehouse.
Right.
For those of you who do not know, 3D Warehouse is a vast library on SketchUp side, user contributed, and also company and SketchUp themselves contributed library of different type of assets. You can
Right.
find it all here. Yes, you're going to find the right ones, but you will also find the wrong ones too. But obviously, you can sort things out differently, but these are on SketchUp side where visualization has more focus on. And um, I have been utilizing this library for a long time. It is freely available. I believe, as somebody who has an account, you have a limited amount of assets that you can download. But the chances are that your office has some SketchUp license, which will allow you to download
Gives you
as
more.
many as you want.
Okay.
So um and I wanted this environment to be inside of Revit rather than you going onto your own browser. Yes, you can absolutely do that and you can search up the assets you want, but the reason why that I wanted this to be inside of Revit is because I wanted Revit and this add-in to control the download and the import part automatically.
Right. Right.
So this one will keep you logged in. As you can see, as I just opened it up, it had myself logged in. that was a number one thing. I did not want to obviously log in every single time I open up this edit
Yeah, you
because
just want it to be there.
essentially it is a browser. But you can search up something. So here I'm gonna look for a car because I'm gonna try to look for something to add a bit
Right.
of or sprinkle around the building so that we trees, cars, and context building, those type of things that you might look for immediately when it comes to like a project level of asset placement. So here I'm gonna perhaps download this car here. Some top tips here, but if when you're looking for these type of things, you want to look for cars that are not high in terms of the storage. So here is 500 kilobytes, whereas this is 9 megabytes. You probably don't want to have too much of assets that's just exploding your model size. So
Right, right,
you want
right.
to be a little bit mindful of what kind of things that you bring in, but obviously you don't want to bring in like a toy car or something that is not really suitable for your scene. So
Right, right,
obviously I
right.
haven't done this search at the time because you can obviously choose from popularity or so I can go ahead and bring this Porsche, if you would pronounce it in British way, sports car, a Porsche, and just click on download. And here you'll simply do sketch a file, which is what
Okay.
the browser was
That's the
doing for me.
format that you want, a SketchUp file.
Right. And this is what this is built for. Obviously, if you are on your separate browser, you can bring it in as whatever the file format and you
Right,
can
right, right.
save it wherever you want. But you're going to have to archive it on your preference and then on your folder separately. But I wanted to kind of remove that process because coming up with correct file name all the time and correct file location in the folder all the time and keeping up with this plethora of different type of assets coming from all different places. It's quite a difficult task, and that's the job of somebody's own. So you click download and then it will internally download it and import all of that automatically for you. So here it'll prompt you, hey, sport underscore car dot skp, which is a SketchUp file name, imported successfully. Keep a note of this file name just in
Okay.
case you need to refer back later. So here's a sport car skp file, close. And then I can either minimize or close out whatever you want.
Nice.
And
Okay.
it is in here. Now, the first task is to look for it. And how do I look for it? Usually it comes into the project base point. So my car is actually in there. You can see that there is a triangular mesh in that corner. So you can tab and eventually get to that thing. Or
Right.
I can also go to the floor plan and then hunt my
So it's going to
car
just
down.
download it very close to the, typically very close to the
Yeah,
origin,
so it's
and
under
just
the
put it in the
hood.
project.
Yeah, under the hood, what's happening is that it's utilizing the 000 absolute 0 point on SketchUp side and matching it with the Revit's zero
A
zero
Revit
zero
origin. Okay.
origin. So that's where it has come in because you can see my project Revit origin is right there. So it just
Gotcha.
placed it in the middle there. So yes, you just grab that and drag that out and park it in my driveway, and that car is just going to come in like that. And I wanted to kind of demonstrate this. It is a triangular mesh or triangular
Sure.
mess rather. So you have to be able to control that. So
Right.
this is mostly for quick and dirty methods, and there are methods on Revit side to kind of clean this up, and which I will demonstrate now, which is GD or graphic design options. You can just click on this edit here, and then here I have show edges shown. Depending on what mode you are in, say you are in hidden line, then you would not be able to uncheck the show edges, but something like shaded, then you can uncheck the shadow edges. And what I also recommend is don't cast a shadow, but do show the ambient shadow, which
Ambient.
kind of
Okay, good.
highlights the edges of the geometry, which is ambient occlusion in the terms of visualization. So if you once you check that, then it kind of gives the definition of edges where you will see the faces meet, and give a bit of an edgy look, and the triangulation will be gone since no edges are actually shown. So
Right.
you still get a suitable geometry representation with some color sprinkled throughout your 3D model. And this will be just a quick snapshot method to get a right asset or quick asset from SketchUp side. Mind you, this came in as a sport underscore car.skp, which is just an imported symbol.
Right.
Essentially, what you're doing is going on to the CAD import and choosing SketchUp to download something into your model. This is what I have done, but it is just done automatically. So if you were to choose and highlight, if you go to filter, here it will be highlighted under the
By the name.
name of this thing. So it's not a family, it's just an imported asset.
Sure.
But this is suitable for getting a site context, especially at a larger scale if you're doing master plan project than if you have SketchUp. Sorry, if you are able to find some sort of buildings, because you can absolutely search for those things, which I have done, and you can get a bunch of different type of building. Mind you, this is not big at all in terms of file size, but you
Right.
can
Right. Right.
absolutely bring this in and then have it placed within your model so that they come in as your site context.
Right. Right. Okay.
And if I were to bring in like a Revit link or something like that, or let's say off of a website, this type of assets would have come in with a whole bunch of parameters that you don't want to play with, and that is going to mess up your model with. Whereas this one just came in with just a geometry and asset and enough of color representation on SketchUp side. Therefore, placing these things around your main project will be a lot easier.
Okay.
All right.
Like it.
So that's sort of the method one, which is
That's
a
method one. Sure.
project
Yep.
level import of this 3D warehouse importer.
It brings the
So
elements in with without all of the chaff that you don't need for context and entourage, side entourage, that sort of thing. Okay. So what's option
yes.
two?
So option two or method two is to bring in as a family, which is what I ultimately wanted. This
Right.
method one was just a byproduct of getting there. But what I ultimately wanted was to be able to create a family quickly out of SketchUp assets and place it in my model. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this.
Yeah, like you
Delete
said,
this.
some families you don't need all the information, all the parameters, but you do need some behavior sometime. Like if it's a wall sconce, it needs to have a relationship to a wall, or yeah,
Right.
or
So
scheduling information, or yeah.
absolutely. And that's something that you so let's say I want to populate this plan. Hey, I'm planning on this to be a open floor plan. Here's my living area, here's my kitchen. I want to be able to kind of give that representation, or I want to kind of fill up this space. Yes, you can go to Revit, Autodesk family, and then look for their family and look for, let's say, desk, and download
There you go.
a desk that is somewhat suitable.
Yeah,
I
it may
don't
not be
know.
like a residential kind of. Got it.
I mean,
Yeah.
that desk has been there for a very long time, and I'm not sure how long it should be there. But anyways, let's say here I want to look for a sofa. By the way, what's the difference between sofa and couch? Because I never can figure that one out.
I
Yeah.
think the
So
desk still comes in with the insertion point at the corner of the desk,
right.
and that
So
was always
here,
like yeah.
let's look for
And
sofa.
and they're kind of limited. I mean, half a dozen desks or couches, and that's your placeholder. Sure.
Yeah, so you can bring in the sofa, and that's fine, but you're very specified to only 3 sofas that are available.
Right,
I don't
right,
know
right,
if
right, right.
Couch brings up more, but and also yes, you can go to Revit City or BIM Objects or all of those library websites. But once you bring these things in, it'll have plethora of information in here about manufacturer, model number, product number,
Right,
and they
right,
have
right.
their own unique identifiers and parameters that's going to all come in and mess up your schedule with, which is where I'm getting at. So I wanted all of those parameters to be nuked and a way to be
Yep.
cleaned, but also at the same time have somewhat geometrically correct asset that is close enough for my environment. So you can go ahead and file and new, and then here you'll do a family, just like how
Okay,
you
so
would create
you're
your own
starting to
family.
create a family just like you would in Reddit,
Correct.
but you're not going to model.
I'm not going to model. Hopefully not. And I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. um, uh,
So choosing the right template's important. If it's going to be a hosted element, wall or floor, whatever, you need to choose the right
correct.
template. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's easy enough.
Yes, and obviously we talked a little bit on this, but for example, like lighting fixture, there's a ceiling base and there's a wall base, but and also just a regular lighting fixture, but there's no face hosted, which is my preferred method. So
Yeah.
you have to be kind of wise, and you need to be you need to know this family generating business just a little bit to be able to
Yeah.
carry out these things. But when in doubt, obviously generic model. I don't need to host it anywhere, and then just
Yeah.
forget
Yeah.
about it for now. Where you can then designate something later on.
So
So I'm just
if it
gonna
was a pendant, would you do generic model face hosted and then
correct
change
over
the
to the lighting.
category to a lighting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I would have
Because that'll give you your
chosen the
light
face
source.
hosted. Correct. So here, then I'll flip over to lighting fixture so that
Okay.
it comes in as a face
So if the right
hosted
category is
lighting.
not there, don't panic. Generic when in doubt, generic model and then change the category.
Yes, and obviously, you know the category you want for your family.
Right.
If you're walking in as like someone who's not aware of every single characteristics of all of these categories, then I would just go as a generic model. But obviously, you can choose something like a furniture, which will be still suitable. It's just that
Sure.
it doesn't offer as many options for it because it's just furniture system, and the furniture there's no face hosted, nothing on there.
Right, right, right.
So when it comes to it, because it could be a lighting fixture, it could be an actual furniture, it could be any different number of things. So I start off as a generic family and then move from it
To the
if
right one, to the
necessary.
one that you need. Because
Yeah.
the I don't know if probably a lot of people know this, but the category of the family controls how it's going to schedule automatically. So you're thinking about, is it going to have a relationship to geometry, like being hosted or non-hosted? And then what is it? So what is the category? Because how do you want it to schedule? Is it going to be hosted or not? So now you've got, is this still a generic model or have you switched it to living room?
No.
Not to
Uh,
living room. You switched it to furniture.
yeah, it still is a generic models,
Okay.
and it
Yep.
just I haven't touched it anything in terms of the settings.
And this is
So
not a
here,
hosted generic model. It's just we're
no,
looking at
just
a
a
family. Got it. Okay. Good.
regular model for now. And then we're gonna go to the same dialog, add in, and then open this dialog here. So here we're gonna look for a sofa.
Why not a couch?
You can, because I can't tell the difference.
No, no,
And
no,
then
exactly.
it's got millions of sofas. Obviously,
Millions.
you want to be
Yeah.
mindful of file size when you
Yeah.
bring these
Polygon
things in.
count and
SketchUp does present their created assets on the top,
hmm
and
right.
also you can choose the sorting if you'd like.
Okay.
I wanted to use this as an example because it has the right things in the right place where I want to talk about.
Okay.
So this one is what's called dynamic component, and it allows you to like reconfigure on the SketchUp side. But unfortunately, as we're not on the SketchUp, so we wouldn't be able to configure it the way it is kind of describing. It'll just take the basic form, which is what's shown on the thumbnail for now. And you can obviously go in there and change it if you are compelled to do so on the SketchUp side
Right,
later
right, right.
on. But what I'm trying to do here is just cut down time of importing and downloading and archiving, that sort of process. So you
Got it.
search for a thing you want and then just highlight this and click on download,
So
and
the
then it's
thumbnail
just
is the
going to download.
default condition.
Correct. And then
Okay, so
here
it
I'm just
just
going
did
to
it.
close
Wow,
out again.
like poof.
Yep.
Okay, so
I
it's
don't
at the
need
origin again.
to. Yeah, it's at the origin again. It's found the right place. Again, it's a triangular mesh or mess, however you want to call it, and it's just going to come
Yeah,
in,
it's a
and
mess.
just like how the thumbnail was showing. Now, if I go to the shaded view, it still has the color. So, which is
Right,
a good part, because when you're trying to just kind of fill out your space, you want you don't necessarily need all the reflection values or anything like that or emissivity. You just need a correct color representation of what is going
right,
on. You may not like the color specifically, but the color is still there. It's just not all weird color that is just being represented. Because often, if you do a CAD import, it comes in like a completely different color for material code area specific, like a layer designated color. So it comes in blue, green, all mixed up, and none of that is happening here. So it comes in like this. And also, you want to be mindful of how it's going to show on your plan view, which is the
right.
hidden line rather than the wireframe, which is a different representation as a default on the family creation part. It always shows as a wired view, which is different from what you would typically show on the plan view. So I immediately switch over to a hidden line just to have a correct representation of what I'm going to see on my project once I bring this family into
And
mine.
you don't want to see this in your project. You don't want to see all these lines.
Right. So we're going to address that.
Okay.
So here's a bit of a manual process. And obviously you can bring this in, and I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to load into my project and bring it in into this corner here. And it's going to come in, and it's going to show the way we were seeing it. If I go to this 3D view, then the sofa does exist here, and it does.
Right.
If I remove the edges, the representation is fine. But on the plan view, it's a bit of a
Oof.
mess because of these triangulation that's happening. So go back to your family. If you had already imported it, then you might want to highlight it and then do edit family to go into the
Yep.
family. And then here you want to do the graphical representation of this, which you go to annotate and then symbolic line. And then here I'm just going to do a rectangle. And you can do it as you might, however you want. If you want to do overall rectangle to
Right.
give it a size, that's absolutely fine. But I think the better suitable representation of this is perhaps trace all of these
Yep.
rectangles.
Just
And
clean it up a little bit so the plan view is nice and clean.
yes.
Sure,
And
sure.
I don't have to line up everything correctly. I'm just trying to get, again, some sort of graphical representation rather than
Yep.
trying to be very precise and
Yeah, we're
round
not
the
building a
edges.
couch. We're not
No, we're
dimensioning the
not.
cushions.
And it prompted me a whole bunch of times that my edges are overlapping and whatnot. That's
Right,
okay.
right, right.
And here I'm going to see preview visibility on, and
On.
then
Yep.
I'm just gonna highlight the geometry itself and then go on their visibility graphics override and uncheck the plan in RCP. And
Yeah, we
once
don't
I
want to
do
see it.
that,
There you go. Nice and
then
clean.
nice and clean. It's a good geometry, or sorry, the lines represented
Yep.
on your plan, and that's fine. I'm gonna turn preview visibility off, and then I'm gonna import that into my project again and override the parameters. And there you go. It
Nice.
just cleaned up nicely. We took some time in talking, but that could have taken a lot shorter than what you would in terms of
Yeah, a minute.
browsing on
Nothing.
your browser and then downloading it, saving somewhere on the folder, coming up with a unique name of a file, and then starting your family, importing that in, dragging it into the right position, and then none of that had to happen. You just open
Right.
up something and then plunk that in, and then that is going to come in. Obviously, the 3D geometry is exactly the same, but
Yep.
you can have a control. Now, those of you who are a bit more familiar with the family generating environment, then yeah, you can set different things for your front, left, right views, and you can set it differently. You can add more complexity to your representation if you'd like. If you want
If
to
you need it,
simplify
sure.
it even further, then yeah, you can do a simple rectangle, however you like. Now, this is also then if you want to host it on a surface, if you want to add a parameter so that you can control how deep the sofa is or how far apart it is from a wall, you can do that. For example, like a wall sconce, you can host it on a wall so that they are snapped onto the reference planes so that they just go along however the thickness of a face over a wall. You can also assign those things on top of this as well. And obviously, you can fill out your identity data as you might for manufacturer or URL if you really need it, but
If you
for
need to.
later scheduling purposes. So yeah, on a nutshell, this is a method two where it allows you a bit more control because you have imported this as a family rather
I
than
like
a
that it's
project
all done
environment.
in one clean move as opposed to download it to the lap, download it to the computer, then open the family editor, then import it to the family editor, then it's like it's right there. It's all
I
right
mean,
there.
it that process you can absolutely do it without this add-in. You can go to
Yeah,
SketchUp the 3D warehouse and download all of that. But all I'm trying to do is cut down that time. Obviously, this add-in can be developed further to even automate some of these processes as
right.
tracing things. But what I wanted to do is to cut down those manual process down in terms of folder and file saving and archiving and management and importing
Yep.
down to an automation and freely available. I just didn't want this to be
Good
paid
call.
app
So tell
so
me,
that
if
people can use it.
people want to download this and use it, where would they go to get
You're gonna leave the link in the description for that app, but
it?
it is available, and you can search on the Autodesk
They would search for Open 3D Warehouse.
the 3D Warehouse. 3D Warehouse Importer is the official name of
Official
this.
name 3D
Yeah,
Warehouse Importer. Does it
yeah.
say
Where
anything by Joseph Kim or something like that? Can we search
No,
Joseph
it
Kim?
is developed by Mindsight Studios, which are
Okay.
the is the company that I collaborated with to
Right.
develop this. So they're the ones who developed this, but we made it together as a collaboration.
Perfect. And if people have, because architects, they're going to have, oh, I wish it did this. I wish it did that. Can they leave comments inside of this? It's on this webpage, or should they leave comments in the description of the video as people are watching? Where would you like
Uh,
questions or comments to come?
I mean, you can obviously do it here if you feel compelled to
Okay,
do
good,
so,
good, good.
praises. But you can also, there is a YouTube video linked onto this 3D warehouse
Oh, and they
importer
could go to the video there and leave the comments in the video thread.
comments in the video too. And I'll be monitoring for both sides to collect feedback. Perhaps a certain feature, if you feel that this specific implementation on specific method is just not incorrect or something that you would like more, I would love to hear more about it. And
Excellent.
obviously, this is a first pass of a version, and I felt that it is doing everything that I wanted it to do. So
Yeah.
it is absolutely fine for my purpose. But obviously, people have different thoughts and voices,
Right.
and hopefully, this kind of opens up the door to the vast library of 3D Warehouse. Yes, it
Yeah.
is possible still manually. It's just that this it cuts time in terms of the processes and the
I love
efforts
it.
that you have to put in.
Joseph, thank you so much. This is great. And yeah, I hope people go and download this wonderful app. And if they have questions, they can leave questions. And yeah, keep going. Looking forward to seeing how this is developed. I think it's just a beautiful thing. Like, you were talking about Enscape was just so quick and easy and one button, you see the design. This is like quick and easy, one button click, put it in your family, put the family in the project. It's all right there. Thank you very
Yep.
much for sharing. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.